wonder how successful future actuaries are mastering their Excel skills and demonstrating them in their interviews and on their resume? Well, in this video, you will learn from the best. 3, 2, 1. Coming from a teaching career, Danny knew that his technical skills were not at the level that they need to be in order to get an entry-level actuarial position. And that's just because as a teacher, you really don't typically need those high-level tech skills. So here's what Danny did about it.
Knew that going in, that would be the biggest gap between the college graduates and me. I would have all the social skills. I would have all like the communication stuff. When it came to technical stuff, that would be the big question they all asked me. And I actually, every time I got asked that, my answer involved AAC. And I just said, look, I knew this was going to happen. So I needed to find a place where I could learn that stuff on my own, because that's what I have to do. And I was like, this place, everyone I asked, they're like, this sounds awesome. I just described like how you have the ninja course and you can either do that or you can kind of do it on your own. And I just said how I've been kind of just playing around with the different things. And I named certain things that I'm good at, like VLOOKUP. I was just able to kind of like list some stuff. And am I the biggest expert ever? No. I'm definitely going to have a learning curve still when I join it. I know I'm going to, but I'm willing to learn. And I think they saw that I'm willing to kind of like figure out the stuff missing. And so even just mentioning AAC, they were like, oh, guy like wants to go get better on his own. Even if you don't tell them like, oh, I kind of had trouble with this or whatever, but they see that I was willing to bridge that gap, and I could just see the eyes light up every time. And I 4 or 5 interviews, I didn't even like study for that kind of thing. I just knew like, I want to talk about this site because it really helped me. I made sure to have it up on my screen left. I was like, oh, by the way, do you mind if I just show you this project? Instead of believing what I say, here's the proof. I can do it. So you see, you can't dismiss it at all. Here it is. And they were very receptive to it. I did it twice. You just have to kind of find a spot to say like, hey, like, I know I have all these technical skills. Do you mind if I just share this project real quick? 10 seconds, get it up on the screen. Here. And, oh, that looks so good. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't have any frame of reference for what's good and what's not. So I was just hoping it looked good, and they were all very impressed.
I did have Excel background because I worked in my father's company business, and since I was very, very young, and I developed those Excel skills, but nothing compared to what I learned from Excel Ninja. I was part of the Excel Ninja course, I think it is, that is offered periodically. And it blew my mind. I thought I knew Excel until I joined the Excel Ninja. It was so great, learning all these, different functions, because I had used a lot of, maybe count ifs and sums and basic formulas, but the way that you guys presented it was a way that was really transferable. So I was able to apply it to my business, my father's business, and able to use the projects. And that really, really helped, especially during the interviews. I could talk about the projects that you guys presented and that I did. And the fact that it was something that not like, your typical courses where you have a project and then the video solution, where you can just like, if you get stuck, you run to the video solution. No, we had to really work it out. We had to really, use the skills we learned and then ask questions if needed, which was very, very helpful, but nothing like, oh, let me just look at the video solution real quick. And that was a really big plus in my book. That's how I really, got to see if I learned or what I knew. So it was great.
I love how Ryan talks about how he built up his qualifications without passing another exam. He did get hired with just 1 exam passed.
But I have not passed exam FM yet. I'm studying for it right now. The goal is to pass it next month, so fingers crossed there. But in general, the exams, I just realized, exams are expensive and people are being hired with 1 exam. So if I build up my other skills and do really well, I can leverage that to where these costs aren't coming out of pocket. But overall, I built my technical skills over that time and really helped out on a lot of that. The interesting thing is my technical skills were actually pretty well founded just from my teaching career. I just didn't know how to word them. So overall, like I gained a lot of technical skills because I did a lot of pivot tables and stuff when it came to organizing student rosters, when it came to inputting grades. I figured out ways to automate like parent emails. So I did a lot of work when it came to just how do I make my job easier? And these are things they aren't required for you as a teacher. These are things I willingly chose to do just to manage my day-to-day life. I did all these things and overall, I just had to figure out a way to word it to advertise it. But I think one of the other skills was specifically in the Excel Ninja challenge that I had with the Actuary Accelerator community. We did something with IBNR reserves. And so learning about IBNR reserves and things like that, I had that Excel sheet because a big issue I had when it came to interviews was, oh man, this is private student data. I can't show them this Excel sheet and that'd be messed up. That'd be illegal. So what I ended up doing was I used that as kind of my template. So I just have it on file, and I did a lot of remote interviews. And if they asked me about the project, like, hey, I can just show it to you if you want. And I think that helps significantly. So just overall figuring out how to word things, how to introduce topics, and how to put that on your resume was probably my biggest challenge, more so than the technical skills themselves.
This is a golden tip from Ryan. Now, if you are a member of the Actuary Accelerator community and you've done either the Excel Ninja Challenge or you've done some of the Excel and programming projects that we have in there, then show them to employers during your interview. This is a great way to give them concrete proof that you know what you're doing in Excel and with programming. It's probably going to be a big selling point for you.
So part of my master's definitely was the programming side. So I did a little bit of Java, a little bit of Python, and a little bit of SQL. And they did that because those are some of the main three when you do go into the more programming or analyst side. Mm-hmm. So when I came back to the States, I had originally joined a company called FDM Group, which is more of a contract company. They really help beginning people kind of get their start, more so in tech positions. Okay. But when I did join them, I said, hey, I know that I'm probably going actuarial. I still don't have the exams though. Do you mind if I go for a more data-oriented position? I go, because I need those skills for when my contract's up. Mm-hmm. And they said, all right. And so they kept waiting and they worked with me, and I ended up getting into a very data-oriented developer role. Wow. So that's really where I got into that. So from there, I've been working for Bank of America, which I can fully say now because I'm going to be leaving. So I was working for Bank of America, and I was mainly working with SQL because we worked with a lot of transactional data. Okay. And so that's how I got into, really using those technical skills, really, oh, wow, just the massive amount of data that came through is in the billions of records. So, going from the college setting of, oh, we have a table of 40 that I'm dealing with to billions, it's overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. So that's even beyond Excel then. You can't even probably put that much data into Excel.
No. So a lot of where I got the Excel skills from were because I would have to take those records, because we would get duplicates or just error records, and I would put a small sample into Excel and then be able to analyze it that way. Okay. And that's really where the Excel starts coming into play. And as I also was working and still studying, if there was ever, a weekend where I had a couple of hours, I would go through some Excel training. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for the goal. I wanted to be, an actuary. So it's a little sad that you have to kind of put the extra effort into it in the beginning. But really, if you want to switch, you've got to be able to put the extra effort beyond just exams as well.
Did you end up doing any of the Excel projects in the Actuary Accelerator community?
Yes, I think that there was, I think I only went through one just because life. But I remember there was one where it had like 9 or 10 different classes, quote unquote, like where you had the videos for like maybe like 45 minutes to an hour for each one. And I went through all of those videos and then did I think it was like 2 little projects at the end where you had to create a calculator. I don't remember all the details because this was a while ago, but I remember you had to create a calculator where essentially like it was computing just the information that you input to it through VBA. And honestly, I feel like that specific project is very helpful because it's not unlike things that I'm doing every day currently, where I'm working in VBA, and not like working in VBA so much because there's already a lot of set stuff that my coworkers have made, but more so working on the Excel side and working with macros that have been made in VBA and kind of making changes to them based off of the changes I'm making in Excel. So it's stuff that I'm seeing every day that having seen it once before makes it so much more helpful.
Technical skills are a big part of any actuarial job, so it is your responsibility to make sure that you really emphasize those skills, even if the interviewer doesn't ask. I have worked with people that have told me that the interviewer didn't even ask about their actuarial skills, and yet that was one of the reasons that they declined them for the job. So you don't want to be in that situation as well. You have to really emphasize these skills no matter what. So here's what Dean had to say about about what they asked during the interview in terms of their technical skills.
Definitely Microsoft Excel. I know that's a big one that you have a whole course on the AAC in. And I took that course, even though I was pretty confident in my abilities in Excel already, just from my past, that automotive job that I talked about. I had to use Excel in that job all the time. So I was pretty confident in my Excel abilities, but I still took it just to see if there was anything that, I didn't know. Plus, I knew you tied it into an actuarial concept, and I was like, that will be interesting to see.
Did you end up doing any of the projects?
I did not do any of the projects. Luckily, I was able to talk about some different stuff in Excel that I did for my past job. Just different like Excel spreadsheets that I made that can help improve like productivity and efficiency and stuff like that. And then other technical skills. So one thing that they were really like impressed on in my resume was just my programming background. So in high school, I actually took 2 years of a computer like information systems course where we learned all sorts of different, like we were introduced into computer programming, and we learned all sorts of different languages like C++, Java, Visual Basic, and stuff like that. And then in my current job, in that automotive job, I was programming in a older programming language that I had never heard of and none of them had ever heard of, called Pick Basic. But that's what we programmed in. It was still pretty similar to like C++, Java, Visual Basic.
Yeah, a lot of the time, if you know one of those languages,
Yeah.
it's fairly easy to pick up on another
Yeah.
one. But I've never heard of that one.
And I've learned that if the word basic is at the end of it, then it's usually very similar to like Visual Basic or any other one that has basic in the name.
Okay,
it's like very similar. So, but just having like all those languages under my belt, they were like they asked me a ton of questions about like my programming background and like, different projects that I've worked on where I've had to program and stuff like that. That was a big like technical skill one that really helped. So definitely like those stepping stone positions are like great for getting like your technical skills down. And then not only for getting the technical skills down, but then also having stories to go along with them on like to prove that you have those down and to prove, certain things that you were capable of doing with those technical skills.
I had taken the Excel Ninja Challenge. I actually didn't finish it though. I didn't watch the last video, but yet I probably will still go back and do it. But I knew the basics of Excel, and then I did the Excel Ninja Challenge and learned a lot. And in my interview, I talked to them a lot about the projects that I did from the Excel Ninja Challenge, and I think that they really liked that because they would they would get like and like write stuff down, and I would talk about the projects. So yeah, but that's kind of the only technical skill I really had, is I was like probably an intermediate Excel user and still learning. And I am a fast learner, so that's not a technical skill, but that was something that I think they also appreciated. But yeah, Excel was really the only skill that I.
Yeah, that's something you definitely want to emphasize during your interview, is, if it's true, of course, is that you are a fast learner, because sometimes there's going to be different technical skills that maybe you don't have and they want the candidate to have. So if you just demonstrate that you have one particular skill and you can fairly easily learn another one, and you know from the past that you're quick at learning those technical skills, then it's going to be really beneficial.
If you want access to the actuarial Excel projects that some of these successful future actuaries use to build up their skills and showcase them to employers, well, they are all available to you right now in the Actuary Accelerator community. To learn more about that program and to join, check out the link to the Actuary Accelerator community right down below in the description.